Hello and welcome to my channel. The final night on the road is behind us. Let me give you a wrap up. Welcome back and thanks for being here. I gotta be honest, it's not just the final night on the road that's behind us. The whole trip is behind us. We have been home for a little bit now, and you may have noticed that Joanne is not with me. She was a bit of a captive audience in these things. I'm not going to say she was an unwilling participant, because all she had to do was say no, turn that off, and I would have done it. But I think if you recall the very first day on the road, I think the first video snippet that I did, the camera was focused on me, very much like what it is right now. And I hadn't figured out how to aim it to capture us both. And she was content with that. She, for the most part, just sat there and ignored the camera. Then once I positioned the camera over this way so that it could capture us both, she participated only because the camera's got her put on the spot, right? So I think she took it very well. She was a true champ through all of that. It wasn't her desire to be on the camera, but she handled it very well, and I thrust it upon her. So gotta love her for that. Anyway, on to the trip. I told you that we had detoured to avoid a bridge closure in Cincinnati, and it cut north to head up toward Columbus, and then I caught Highway 35 down toward Charleston, West Virginia. Charleston was a targeted overnighter, but if you recall, I was avoiding staying in any large cities during the trip, as much as I could anyhow. And so we stayed in Dunbar, which is just outside of Charleston. It's slightly to the west of Charleston. Yeah, the hotels were starting to fill up by the time we got there. This hotel was a split level. So basically a split level is you walk into the lobby and here is ground level, but then the downstairs rooms are down half a floor into the basement, and the upstairs rooms are up half a floor onto the second floor. And so there was no elevator and there were no luggage carts. So we had to offload everything by hand. Seeing how everything was starting to stack up, the parking, I went and found a parking spot first, and I got pretty lucky. I was able to park right outside of our hotel room. If I had rope on me, it would have been very tempting to haul everything up through the window. That might have sped things up a little bit. The parking, there was no pull-through parking. There was not enough open space, parking spaces for me to jackknife the trailer, but there was enough room for me to back over the curb and put the trailer into gravel. You guys have seen me do this a lot, where I will pop the trailer up over a curb and then park it off of the asphalt. If you've noticed, I don't believe at any point I did that on grass. I did it only if there was gravel or maybe dirt, but there really wasn't even dirt. Every time I did it, it was gravel, or I popped it up over a parking stop and it was still on concrete or pavement, it just wasn't in the designated parking space. So it seems a little bit like an obnoxious thing to do, but I really am doing it out of a courtesy to fellow travelers, so that I'm not taking up two parking spots, and I try to do it in a way that is not destructive to hotel property or anybody else's property. But it's also kind of fun to just take that little trailer and pack it into little places. So anyway, I had managed to get everything up into the room, and the bathroom was a little on the small side, so we let the cats run loose. And it turned out that by now, I want to say that this was 5 nights at the very least, but I think maybe our 6th night on the road with the cats, and they were starting to get a little used to us. They weren't quite as fussy, and they behaved like cats. They didn't fuss and scratch at things as much. They, in fact, just hung out on the bed with us. Not at first, because at first they were getting settled into the room and trying to figure out what we were all about. But then I woke up in the middle of the night, and sure enough, there they were. All of them were on the bed with us. And I went ahead and took some pictures of that just so you could see finally some decent pictures of the cats. And of course, it was still dark when I did this, so that means flash photography, and Joanne really appreciated that. Good morning, honey. She loved it. And if she were right here in the car, she'd be telling me all about how much she loved that. When we did finally decide to get up, the cats were so comfortable, we wanted them to eat so they could get their sedative into them. So Joanne got up and fed the cats, and I stayed in bed because the cats, I'm really not 100% sure, but in my mom's house, they were not exposed to a lot of men. A man might come into the room or into her house to fix something, but they did not stay. And so I really think that the cats are more afraid of strange men or any men than they are women. So I stayed in bed and waited for the cats to eat, and that was okay with me. I shared some Instagram photos and Facebook feed and checked out a little bit of YouTube stuff. Then came time for me to get up. Got up, packed our bags. Of course, the cats scattered and hid. And then it came time to put the cats in their carriers. Miss Kitty, she is our well-adjusted cat. She was very easy to just pick up and stick in her kennel. Rusty is too large to fit into anything. He cannot hide. So he tried. He was up under the bed, but up against that little, a lot of them have the metal surroundings on them. So he was up under there, up under the blanket, and I just was able to just pull him out of there. No sweat. Digby, he is our polydactyl terrorist. He is I swear he's Satan's cat. He actually found his way up under the bed and was not retrievable without lifting the bed up. And boy, was he surprised, because I'll bet he didn't realize that we humans with our opposable thumbs and everything, he never imagined, I don't think, that I would be able to just pick that bed up and get him. So yeah, he was got. I got him, put him into his kennel, and then started taking stuff outside. Once I got outside, I felt like the trailer looked a little crooked and it just looked funny from the approach. And so then I walked around to the other side, and sure enough, I had a flat tire on the trailer. I inspected the tire to see if there was maybe vandalism, and I didn't see anything. So I got out my compressor and aired up the tire, and I couldn't hear any leaks or anything. So all right, no vandalism. So let me go ahead and load the trailer. So I loaded and got everything situated and tied down, got the cats in the car, and then before we pulled away, I decided to pull out of, ka-thunk off of the curb, and then I think I had to bounce over a parking curb as well. I can't quite remember right now, but I think I was just able to bounce off the curb and then start rolling it forward, and Joanne spotted a screw. So that is 2 tire punctures in this trip. So I did another, what am I trying to say, patch plug. I did another plug repair on that tire, and then we got on the road. Now, of course, our first order of business was to stop at a Starbucks and get a West Virginia Been There mug. And so now I think that gave us a total of 15 of these Starbucks Been There mugs from a variety of states. I'll flash all the states up here. Yeah, here. I'll put them up here somewhere. I think I got to flash that up on this side. So I'll flash the states that we traveled through on this side. Some of them she already had mugs for, so and some of them were states that I already went through, but I will just put them all up, and I will share a states traveled map that I have assembled for the trip. Not just for the trip, but for the car's entirety. In addition to the, I believe, 15 additional mugs, she also got a stemless wine glass from Tapico Tavern, which is associated with the Tail of the Dragon. And she has a mug from Waylon's Cuckoo Burger on Route 66. So those are her souvenirs for the trip. I had mentioned earlier that I just didn't shoot any video during the day because I didn't want to give it away that we were going to stop someplace on the way home. The surprise was more of a treat for me than it was for her, which maybe that's another reason why I didn't want it out. We definitely had a case of get home fever, and I just didn't want to tell her that we were stopping someplace that was going to tie us up for another 30 or 45 minutes. So detoured off of I-64 for just a little bit and went to Loyalty Volkswagen in Chester, Virginia. That is where I purchased this car almost exactly 4 years ago. And I met up with with Andy, the salesperson who sold me the car, and had us a nice chat. It was planned between him and I, so I didn't spring it on him as well because I want to make sure he was going to be there. So he was there. We had a nice chat. We sat in an Atlas just so I can say, hey, honey, how do these seats feel? So she was definitely tired of these seats if you hadn't picked up on that. I razzed her every time I had the camera turned on, and lots of times when she didn't, when the camera was off. You guys just have no idea how much I hassled her about the sweet exhaust and the plush seats and something else. Oh, the supple ride. She never heard the end of that. So it wasn't just on camera. I heckled her quite a bit. And so I guess that was another one last heckle, I guess, was here, sit in this nice cushy Atlas and telling me what you think. And no, I'm not buying an Atlas, at least not anytime soon. Took some nice pictures, 4-year anniversary pictures. Freaked her out as I was backing into the spot because I did some stunt parking, right? And so here I am between two cars that are for sale, and I'm stunt parking and jackknifing a trailer in between them. And so she got a little anxious because it's a bad habit if you're backing trailers. I have gotten into the habit even of I will look at my backup camera as I'm backing into a spot because I like to get it perfectly centered between the lines, and then I will back right up to the curb, and I stop at a precise position to make sure I don't nick the exhaust tips on a curb or anything like that. I can't say that I rely on the camera for backing the car into a parking spot because, I mean, come on, I can do it, but I really appreciate the camera. And I believe she does too. She appreciates it too much because when you're backing a trailer, you can't count on that camera. The camera is going to show an exaggerated view of where the trailer is going, and where the trailer is going doesn't mean that's where the car needs to be. So the car will look like the trailer is going off to the side where it's really not. It's actually going exactly where I want it to go. And so she was getting really excited seeing things in the backup camera. It was kind of funny, but I got the trailer perfectly positioned between these two cars that were for sale. And of course, I was just like, honey, they're just Hondas, they'll be okay. Actually, I don't remember if they were Hondas or Toyotas at this point. They might have been Toyotas, but anyway, the joke was that they're not Volkswagens, and so no harm, no foul. After that, we got on the road, and from there it was only I think an hour and 15 minutes to home, so that was an easy stretch. The one drawback to stopping to see Andy and visit that Volkswagen dealership was we got home after dark, and that's not ideal with a trailer because I have an inclined driveway. It's not lit very well, and her car was of course in the driveway, and I'm backing up to a trailer that's still in my driveway. And so there's a bit of, I won't say stunt parking, I'll say stunt maneuvering to get up that driveway. And in the dark, that is my nemesis. Backing the trailers in the dark is a challenge for me, especially if I have to maneuver. If I just have to back straight in, it's a piece of cake. But when I'm maneuvering and I can't see what the back of the trailer is doing, that is when things get challenging for me. So, yeah, my clutch did not appreciate any of that. I mean, the clutch really, really smelled. And if I had a DSG, no sweat. But that's the only time I wish I had a DSG is when I'm backing the trailer up my driveway. Once we got home and got the trailer parked, we did a quick unload of the cats and the top portions of the trailer, because before we could let the cats out and into their new environment, we needed to get more cat trees. And so I wasn't done with the trailer yet. We took off to a pet store that was still open and picked up a couple of cat trees. So the cat trees weren't going to fit in the car. That's what the trailer's for. So the trailer still was not done, and I used both decks of the trailer because I got two fairly large cat trees. Got them back home. They're temporary quarters, which are probably not as temporary as we had hoped, but our formal dining room, I guess we can call it, we don't use it as a dining room. We call it my bike room. It's where I store the bikes. I've got some indoor tools in there and some other things, and so we put them in there. That's the one room in the house where our cats typically are not allowed, and so we'd always had that barricaded off with, a big sheet of cardboard or something. And this time, because we knew the cats were going to be in there for a longer period of time, I opted to put a screen door on there. So the cats are in the bike room, and we learned through them being in there, Digby is very definitely the aggressive cat in there. He's not the alpha, that would be Miss Kitty, but Digby is the one who lets out a lot of aggression, and poor Rusty takes the brunt of it. Rusty, he does not care about any other cats whatsoever, so he's not going to attack our cats or chase them or anything. So we decided to let Rusty out to where he has full run of the house. Unfortunately, there was an incident with Digby and one of our cats to where we made the mistake of introducing them just a little too early. We thought it'd be okay to let mom's cats out and around down here with one of our cats safely beside Joanne on a chair, and all seemed well until our cat freaked and ran, and then Digby chased her down and attacked her and actually injured her. So it didn't require a trip to the vet, but that was enough to traumatize both of our cats, so now they stay upstairs. And that kind of stinks because they just will not come down. We still leave mom's, Miss Kitty and Digby in the bike room at night and for a lot of the day, and then we let them out for a few hours at night. Rusty roams the house, except for upstairs. Now we have that cardboard barricade upstairs, and I have a very large pet door on the way to isolate the upstairs from the downstairs. So Rusty can still run loose downstairs because we like him having the peace, and the other two cats stay in the bike room, and then our cats have free run of upstairs, which is a pretty large space, but it's not ideal. We're still working on socializing these cats so that maybe someday everybody can at least get along a little bit. I really don't know if that's going to ever happen. Unfortunately, I think that they're going to have to stay separated like that for quite some time. The attack on our two cats kind of traumatized them. Miss Kitty, of course, I forgot to tell you, it's not Miss Kitty. I told you in a previous video, one of my mom's cat's name is Miss Kitty, and we have a cat named Kitty. We did not name either of them Kitty. That's not something I would have chosen, but sometimes I call our kitty Miss Kitty. But anyway, Kitty she's still traumatized from the attack, and our other cat is Knox. Knox she's our obnoxious one. She was taken away from her mama way too early and never learned the social behaviors of not messing with other cats and how to behave around them. And so she was constantly attacking Kitty and wanting to play rough, and Kitty doesn't want anything to do with her most of the time. Just to give you some background, Knox is named after Nox or Nyx, depending on if you're looking at Greek or Roman mythology, goddess of the dark or darkness. But with her behavior, Nox is also short for obnoxious. So whichever you prefer, that's where she is. Anyway, because she too was traumatized by the attack, because it was quite a disturbance, she will not come downstairs. So neither of the cats who used to come down for a morning ritual of being fed or going out onto the patio or something, neither of them will come down at all. And some of that is from the trauma, some of that is because Rusty runs loose, and Rusty doesn't want anything to do with them, so he's not going to hurt them, but they're still scared they won't come down the stairs. So we have some adjusting to do still before these cats are fully integrated. This video is starting to get a little longer than I expected. I will share, well, the car's fixed, so I will share that report in a future video, and I will also share the travel statistics in a separate video, as well as some lessons learned. And believe me, there were some lessons learned on this trip. So I appreciate you being here. Feel free to post any questions if you have them. I'll be glad to answer. And until then, take care.